So why do I care about high yield bonds and them hitting all-time highs? Because notice down below here we have what's called a correlation coefficient. So correlation to the S&P 500. How close do high yield bonds follow along with the actual S&P 500, the actual index? And you can see that they spend most of their time in the positive territory, meaning that high yield bonds and stocks do the same thing on vast majority of the time. We can go back all the way to 2008 and you can see that it's pretty much almost 100% correlation with occasional foray into negative territory, but not that much. Most of the time they stay positive in the sense of they do the same thing as S&P 500. And again, notice that S&P 500, or rather the high yield bonds, broke to all-time highs. We can now look at a more granular on the daily chart, so we're just looking at the weekly chart. So high yield bonds on the daily charts, you can just see them better. These were previous highs set on March 3rd, 2025 this year, and you can see that we gapped right there between the 9th of May and 13th of May and 12th of May, and we gapped to new records and continued higher pretty much relentlessly since then. Today on Friday, June 20th, 2025, we did hit an all-time high yet again. So this is what's called a bullish or a positive divergence, when high yield bonds are hitting records. And if we look at S&P 500, notice that we have not hit yet all-time highs. So previous all-time highs were set right there on 19th of February, and we have not yet reached those levels. We can try to include the dividends with S&P 500 ETF SPY, and we still have not yet hit an all-time high. So this is good news to me when high yield bonds hit records while S&P 500 is still behind. It's telling me that because of the correlation that I just showed, there is a very good chance that stocks, S&P 500, will indeed hit records. Now, what are the negatives about this chart of S&P 500? So we can see on this chart several gaps. So one gap, that's a partial gap right there between 23rd and 25th of May.